Welcome to our webinar aimed at supporting your child with toilet training. My name is Melanie Daly and I am a specialist nurse in autism. And this presentation has been developed by the Children and Young People's ASD team in the Western Trust. The recommendations and guidelines described in this video are based on evidence, and they are national guidance for how to support parents and carers with toilet training their child, including those children who may have developmental differences such as autism. Teaching children the skills needed for toilet training is a very important milestone, and we know that incontinence has lasting psychological effects on children, including their self-esteem, their dignity, quality of life, and their social well-being and outcomes. It's vitally important to support children to meet their maximum potential and to develop as much independence as possible. You are likely to be watching this because you are the parent or carer of a child who needs support with toilet training. Or perhaps you've tried many things and have been given or read conflicting advice that doesn't seem to work. Maybe you feel that you're causing distress to your child and your family, and that you're at war with your child with regard to toilet training. You might even feel that toilet training your child is hopeless. But please don't give up hope. Almost all children can be toilet trained. We have high expectations for your child, and we would love it if you did too. I'm here to share with you the most up-to-date advice and guidance on how to go about this step by step. I would like you from here on in to think about toilet training as a process, rather than the outdated idea that it's an event that should take about a week. Toilet training requires your child to learn over 40 skills. And sometimes children with disabilities or developmental differences might find some of these more challenging than other children. However, given the right support, we can help your child to meet their maximum potential and their maximum independence. There will be some children who may always require some support with aspects of toileting. But this process is about progress to help your child meet their potential. It is not about perfection. So, the first thing is relax, take the pressure off yourself. We will go through these clear steps one by one. Your child is not in competition with anyone. They will go through this process at his or her pace, and we will ensure they progress as and when they are ready. You're likely to have heard the approach which has been around for many years, and that is to wait until your child is showing you signs of being ready. Less than 40 years ago, babies and young children were wearing washable toweling nappies, you might remember. Because of the uncomfortable feeling of these when they were wet or soiled, young children were more aware of the unpleasant consequences of their bladder and bowel signals earlier. Modern nappies now provide a comfortable, soft, dry option for children, and this makes them less motivated to use the toilet. And the convenience of disposable nappies perhaps reduces motivation of parents and wider society also. However, by delaying toilet training, we can actually make it more difficult for the child to become toilet trained. We know that some people with autism find it very difficult when their routine changes. If toileting in a nappy becomes a very entrenched routine, your child or young person might find it more difficult to change this, and they may never show you signs of being ready or interested in using the toilet. However, with the right approach, we can support them to make this change. Think of toilet training as a set of skills which we are responsible for teaching our children, as opposed to skills that they will learn themselves when they are interested or ready. I am now going to talk you through the 3-step approach for teaching toilet training skills to your child. You will notice that this approach breaks the process down to make it more achievable. The very last step is to remove the nappy, which is the part people usually go to first. So we are giving your child lots of time and support to do the groundwork and learn the skills before getting to that stage. You must be happy that your child has completed stage 1 before moving on to stage 2 and has mastered stage 2 before going on to stage 3. There is no time limit. It could take your child longer than you expect for certain stages. Stick with it. With perseverance and consistency, you are making progress, no matter how slow. You can either dip in and out of this video when you're ready to move on to the next step, or you can watch it all at once and refer back to it when needed. Whatever works best for you. So step 1 is getting started and establishing a toileting routine. This step provides the majority of the groundwork for toilet training. Here is where we introduce your child to the concept of using the toilet. We want to familiarise him or her with the process of toileting and all that involves, which includes sitting on the toilet, wiping, flushing, washing their hands, maybe even pulling their trousers back up. At this stage, we are not expecting your child to use the toilet. We are simply introducing them to a regular routine where they sit on the toilet and help them to accept that this is now part of their life. Don't be tempted to move on to step 2 unless your child is happily sitting on the toilet for 1 minute for each year of their life, up to a maximum of 5 minutes. So for example, if your child is age 3, it's 3 minutes. If they're 4, it's 4 minutes. After toilet time, you put your child's nappy back on again. We also want to think about all of the things that might be a barrier to your child's toilet training progress at this stage. Healthy eating and drinking. It's important that your child eats a good variety of food, including fruit and vegetables and other high fibre foods and cereals if possible. If your child is constipated, it will make it very difficult for him or her to be toilet trained. The bladder and bowel are very close together and one directly affects the other. If your child is constipated, and that is that they have irregular bowel motions or stools that are hard and difficult for them to pass, you need to ask to see your GP for a review. Also make sure your child is offered plenty of fluids, a good cup of water or milk with every meal and with snacks to enable the bladder to get used to filling. Avoid bottles of juice or milk where possible after the age of 1. Change your child's nappy in the bathroom. This is letting your child know that the bathroom is for toileting. Ask your child to stand up for nappy changing if possible. By standing, they develop increased awareness of toileting. They can see what you're doing when you're changing them, as opposed to them lying down and having this task completed for them without their understanding or knowledge. If they do have a formed stool, allow them to see you emptying this down the toilet. Get them involved in waving goodbye to Mr. Pooh and flushing it away. Sometimes children become anxious about stooling in the toilet, and this can help. There is also an app called Pooh Goes to Poohland, and this helps with children around anxiety with stooling in the toilet. Have a think about equipment. For children about 2.5 and over who are able to, a seat reducer and a step is a good option. Or a ladder that fits over the seat, like the one in this picture, also provides a good stable base. You might decide to get started with potty training initially and then move on to the toilet, and that's okay. There are no hard and fast rules. You do what suits your child. Depending on your child's needs, you may require an occupational therapy assessment for toileting equipment, or if there are specific sensory issues in the environment that are challenging your child. The support of visuals is an extremely useful resource when toilet training, especially for children who might have communication or speech and language difficulties, or for children with autism who prefer pictures. Get in touch and we could certainly provide you with visuals, which you can use to create a social story to explain the process of toilet training to your child. Cards or pictures, or even an object of reference, like the small toy in this picture, can be used to communicate to your child that it is toilet time, and these are also really useful. Remember, communication with your child is really important when toilet training. Keep talking to your child about toileting. This may be a case of saying, Sophie's wet when changing, or it could be a more detailed discussion and description of changing and so on when your child is being changed, and this all depends on your child's level of speech and language and their understanding. Explain toilet training to your child through play also. Using small world toys and large dolls, model them using the toilet or potty. Visit your local library where there are books about toilet training that your child can enjoy reading with you. Allow your child to see you and your siblings using the toilet. And encourage your child to sit on the toilet after all meal times and before they go to bed. Now remember, this may take some time for your child to become comfortable with. And in some cases, children are extremely resistant to sitting on the toilet. Particularly in this situation, we recommend positive reinforcement in the form of a reward for your child. In step 1, the reward will be given just for sitting on the toilet and having toilet time. This reward needs to be something novel and meaningful. There is no point in making their treat something that they aren't interested in or they have access to at other times. It has to be something motivating for your child. And every child is different. You will know your child best and be creative with her. This is the key to helping your child overcome their reluctance to sit on the toilet. The more they sit on the toilet, the more they will see there's nothing to be afraid of. And in children with autism, we will be supporting the practice of toileting, of becoming an embedded routine for them. Some parents have created a lucky bag. This is just inexpensive items from the pound shop or a charity shop put into a bag, which may be something like crafting tissue that they can use, small tubs of Play-Doh, crayons, or even they may even get 10 minutes of iPad time after using the toilet. If this is the case, only allow these treats after your child has used the toilet. So iPad time isn't used apart from after toilet time. You can also use items to distract your child when they are sitting on the toilet, such as bubbles, a toy windmill for them to blow on, a tactile toys or sensory toys, or you could sing a song or nursery rhyme with them or look at a book. When they have finished their toilet time, the nappy goes back on and they wipe, flush and wash their hands. Your child needs to be praised just for sitting at this stage. If they do accidentally use the toilet, praise for this also. Do not move on to the next stage until your child accepts that they need to sit on the toilet when it's toilet time and that they engage in the ritual involved. So that is wiping, flushing and washing their hands. And again, this phase may take considerable time. But remember, you are making progress every time your child does toilet time. Go at their pace, and just a note, never force your child to sit on the toilet. The key to motivating them to stay on for the full time is the reward at the end. The use of an egg timer or an egg timer app might be a good visual way for your child to see how long is expected. If your child is okay with using the toilet at home but not outside the home, for example at nursery or school, it might be worth thinking about mum or dad or whoever the child is used to taking them to the toilet at home, coming into that environment and carrying out toilet time there. So maybe this is at the start and the end of the day when they were dropping off and picking up the child. This could then maybe progress to the classroom assistant coming along to carry out toilet time, or the teacher. And eventually this may move on to the child being comfortable enough with the classroom assistant alone and not needing mummy or daddy to take them to the toilet at school. So this is just an example of how to be creative to help your child overcome their unique issues. Step 2 is timed toileting. Once you're confident that your child has an awareness of toileting, they know what the toileting process is, and that they're happy to sit for 3 to 5 minutes after each mealtime and before bed, it is likely to be a good time for you to move on to step 2. This requires using a toileting assessment chart to work out your child's toileting habits, so you can predict when your child needs to go. The assessment chart will allow parents or carers to identify roughly how long their child goes between voids and any patterns for this and for their bowel actions. Children must be taken to the toilet at the time intervals that they stay dry for, as identified by the assessment. So I'm sure you can see how this is providing an individualised approach for your child's toileting programme. The assessment is done very, very simply by putting a folded kitchen towel into your child's nappy and by checking it every hour to see if your child is wet or soiled. If your child is wet, change the kitchen towel and record it. And change the nappy when it is either full or soiled. The information is recorded on the chart, like the one in this picture, which we can also send to you if you request it. This needs to be done for 3 days, but not nighttime, just during the day. And these days do not have to be consecutive. This should hopefully identify a stooling pattern and give you information about how soon after eating and drinking your child goes to the toilet and how long they can wait between voiding. Also, keep a record of whether your child is wet or dry when he or she has their toilet time. So, you might notice your toileting routine needs adjusted. For example, you might see that he holds for 3 hours between voids and that it's always about an hour after mealtime. And with this information, you can adjust your child's toilet time so it corresponds with when they actually are going to need to go. Don't offer the toilet any more than hourly. Continue with your toileting routine as described in stage 1. Only with this step, you can now predict with more accuracy when your child will need to go. Hopefully, it will encourage your child to be more successful when they use the toilet more often. There is also a very helpful app called the Potty Whiz app, which allows you to track your child's toileting patterns and plan a toileting time. Also, the timing of your child's toileting follows the last void, as opposed to the last toilet time. So if your child voids on average 3 hourly and has an accident between toilet times, leave it for 3 hours from the time of the accident to try him on the toilet again. If your child is wet every single time or almost every time you check, commence hourly toileting. And it's important to remember that if your child is constantly wet, there could be an underlying medical issue contributing to this, such as constipation or infection. Ask for your child to have a review with the GP. And again, make sure underlying constipation is treated if required. And with this step, yet again, we are going at your child's pace. Continue to offer the rewards, but this time the reward is for when they actually go to the toilet. Give them lots of praise and clapping, maybe even sing a song. This will increase your child's confidence in relation to toileting and help them to associate toileting as a positive experience and to encourage this behaviour to be repeated. When your child is successfully passing half of their voids and bowel motions into the toilet or potty, you are then ready to progress to step 3. Step 3 is when we introduce washable pants. By now, your child will be familiar with the process of toileting and will be used to sitting on the toilet and will have started to use the toilet now that you can predict when they're likely to need it. We now remove the nappies during the day and put your child into big boy or girl washable pants. It's helpful to get your child involved in choosing these, as they may be more accepting of them if they feature their favourite cartoon character or princess, or if they're their favourite colour. Be prepared for lots of accidents. They are completely inevitable, and this is not a sign that it's not working. Have lots of clean, dry pants and practical clothing like leggings or tracksuit bottoms available that are easy to wash and dry. Put waterproof covers on buggies, car seats, or areas of the sofa that your child is likely to be sitting on. Prepare everyone who is looking after your child that the nappies are coming off, and this may be grandparents, childminders, school, nursery. In step 2, you established a routine unique to your child's toileting needs, and you need to continue with this. Continue with praise and rewards when your child goes to the toilet. As time goes on, and as your child gets more and more confident, you can pull back on these rewards, but they continue to have a really important place in these early days when the nappy comes off. And as time goes on, you will likely be able to gradually increase the time between toileting as your child's bladder matures. Ensure to continue with the visuals, the social story, objects of reference, which you established helped your child in the earlier stages. When your child does have an accident, take them to the bathroom, encourage them to try sitting on the toilet in case they haven't completed. Try not to scold them, shame them, or embarrass them when they've had an accident. Stay calm and gently point out that they have peed or pooed in their pants and remind them that they're now a big girl or boy, and when they need to use the toilet, they have to tell mummy, daddy, carers, or whoever. And just be very gentle and patient with your child. Use your visuals to support this. Remind them to tell everybody around them that they need to use the toilet next time. And also make sure that their visuals or these objects of reference are available to them at all times to ensure communication and ensure that everyone involved with looking after your child is also aware of these techniques. Sensory issues and toilet training. Sometimes people who are autistic can process information about the world around them and their bodies differently through their senses. This can lead to being less sensitive or aware of these messages or overly sensitive, which means that certain things may be uncomfortable or upsetting and they will avoid them. In some children who are autistic, this will impact on their toilet training journey. This is a broad, complex topic, and you can contact us for further information or advice if you need more information than what we cover on this webinar. However, for this presentation, we will introduce this topic only and ask you to think about the senses and consider how they could be impacting on your child. It may be possible that there are things that you can do to support your child or something that is causing them distress. There are sounds in the bathroom, such as bathroom fan, toilet flushing, echoing sounds in the bathroom, even the sounds of their pee and poo hitting the water, hand dryers. All of these things could be causing distress to your child. Think of practical ways to reduce these, such as turning off fans, hand dryers, putting toilet paper down the toilet before they go to the toilet. Introduce bath mats and extra towels to reduce echoing, and even maybe flush after your child leaves the toilet in the early days. Maybe even play some gentle, familiar music or use white noise in the bathroom during toilet time. Also, some children dislike the smell of some cleaning products such as bleach and are even extra sensitive and dislike the smell of their own pee or poo. Keep bathrooms well ventilated and avoid strong cleaning products. Maybe give your child some essential oil drops on a tissue or such as lavender. Touch is another factor. A cold, hard toilet seat might feel scary for a child who was previously used to a soft nappy. So maybe consider a soft padded seat. Some children dislike the feeling or sensation of toilet roll also. And for these children, you could try wipes or a quick wash with soap and water after toileting. Also, the sensation of the bowels opening might be scary for some children, so it's really important to ensure that your child's stools remain soft. If your child does experience hard, dry stools, they will likely require treatment from the GP for constipation. Your child may have experienced comfort and feedback from wearing a nappy, and it now feels strange without this. By replacing the nappy with close-fitting cycling shorts or leggings, this may provide the supportive feeling that they were used to. Vision is another factor, and bright lights in the bathroom may be overpowering. Try introducing some dim lights. Also, too many items such as bottles, shampoos, creams, and items sitting around the bathroom can also overwhelm a child's visual sensory system. Your child may feel more secure as well by having handles to hold onto and a stable base for their feet, and a pillow tucked behind their back may feel nice and supportive for them. Nighttime wetting. The age at which children become dry at night hugely varies. For some children, it follows on quite quickly after achieving daytime dryness. Some children continue to have a problem with bedwetting beyond this age, and in some cases they may need treatment. Remember, it's not your child's fault if they are wet during sleep. There are, however, lots of things that you can do to gradually work towards nighttime dryness. These include ensuring your child uses the toilet right before bedtime. Make sure that they're drinking plenty during the day to ensure their bladder can develop the muscles that it needs to, and it also gets used to filling and functioning effectively. However, stop drinks 1 hour before bedtime every night, and no more drinking after that until the morning. There is more detailed information on how much fluid your child needs depending on their age on the ERIC website. Observing the colour of their urine is a good indicator of hydration, and as a rule of thumb, darker urine suggests dehydration or needing more fluid, whereas lighter urine indicates that the child is better hydrated. Prepare your child for sleep. So unwind with a book or listen to music, keep the lights down low. Absolutely no screens for an hour before bed. So no TV, no iPad, no computer games, or the brain will get the wrong message. If the brain is correctly signalled that nighttime is here and it's time for sleeping, it should ideally send signals to the kidneys to reduce urine production overnight. Try to avoid lifting your child from their sleep and taking them to the toilet during the night. This might help to keep the bed dry, but it will encourage your child to void while they're asleep, as very often children don't wake up for this. So overcoming common issues, a very common issue that is experienced with children who are toilet training is children who withhold their poo or will only poo in a nappy. And it occurs quite a lot in children with autism. This is usually linked to episodes of constipation. If your child has had even one painful experience of passing stools, it might have been when they were very young. It can trigger fear of bowel movements and withholding of stools. For some children, it can be a sensory-seeking behaviour, and for others, it can be a change of routine to being expected to poo in toilet, in school, nursery or home, as opposed to in their nice soft nappy. The key here is to treat and prevent constipation. Speak to your GP. It might be that your child needs a longer term treatment for constipation if it's an ongoing issue. You are aiming for your child's stools to be soft, and if they're hard and difficult to pass, even sometimes, this is an issue. What happens is stool withholding compounds the issue with constipation, making stools larger and harder as the build-up in the bowel gets worse. And inevitably, these stools will be passed and they will be painful on your child, leading to the cycle continuing and repeating. For children who will only poo in their nappy, there are different strategies depending on why they only want to poo in their nappy. Something that works for a lot of children is gradually moving towards pooing in the toilet. So maybe allow them to poo in their nappy in the bathroom. And then, when they're happy with this, move on to them sitting on the toilet with their nappy on. Again, once they're happy with this, maybe cut a hole in the nappy so the poo goes straight down the toilet. Then progress to unfastening one side of the nappy and then completely removing it. The ERIC website has extensive resources and fact sheets for addressing this very common issue, which you may also want to have a look at. And the ERIC website is eric.org.uk. Well, that's the end of this webinar aimed at supporting your child with toilet training. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope that we have provided you with some useful advice and tips on toilet training your child. And remember, you can get in touch if we can help you with visuals or give you further advice on toilet training your child, or knowing where to go for more specialised support.